every people have their own journey in terms of entrepreneurship and how they enter this world. And in some cases, like what Dr. Subha mentioned, some of the people, actually the students, once they graduate, some of them will be encouraged to enter the entrepreneurship world. So in my case, I'm slightly different. I enter the world of entrepreneurship in a very late age. So that's the different story. But anyway, maybe I would like to share with you what's happening before the COVID strikes and what's happening now. So actually, the talk that I would like to give is being divided into three parts. Part one is about the product development journey. This is where I started off to understand about product development, and then enter the real entrepreneurship journey is in part two. But because due to time factor, maybe I'm not have the time to talk about the journey in the marketing and the branding part of my organization. Yeah, so maybe in the future, maybe we'll have more time about that. But again, Alhamdulillah, up to today now, as a company, the current existing company, we have won as a Malaysia's Best IoT Startup Award in 2019 by ASEAN Rice Bowl. So how do we achieve towards this? Like what Mr. Swami mentioned, that I have these worlds from academic and industry. So in the first 10 years, I've been in the academia as a lecturer and associate professor. I've been working in that area for 10 years in academics, so teaching students and all that. And then when I joined to the industry, especially in the Celcom and electronic IoT, for about nearly 15 years in that area. And as in the government, I've been working in MIMOS for about 8 years in a research organization. And now I think it's more than 4 years, about 4 years as an entrepreneurship, real entrepreneurship. So this is the journey of my life. So maybe some of you will start from the early part, but I become the entrepreneur in the late part of my age. So what happened is that I've never thought in my life, all my life, to become a CEO of any organizations. I've always thought about myself to become only a CTO, never become a CEO. But things have changed. So this is something that I would like to share with you. In the part one of my journey, is all about the product development. It started off very early age. The early age means that when I still very small, as a young kid, I always follow my father, who is not an engineer, but is able to repair televisions and radios and electronics. So I will see that he have these books and he reads about these books by himself. I don't know sure. He didn't have a formal education, but yet he's able to repair television. So I follow him to the electronic shops, and he will get this circuit diagram of a certain television model, and then he will repair the TV. So I'm quite impressed with that sort of skills and talent. That's where I believe I joined the universities and be in the technology world. The first one will be in the UTM as a Bachelor of Electrical Engineering. So again, in PhD in telecommunications world in 1993. So that was my part of my journey. So, but most of the time after I graduated, I feel that there must be a better way of contributing to the academia. And is there a way for me to embark on R&D? So that year, it was, we focus very much, we are transforming the telecommunication world from analog into digital. So if some of you might remember, there is what we call the technology of ISDN, Integrated Services Digital Network, ISDN. So the speed is only 64 kilobit, not like today we have like megabit and gigabit speed. It's only 64 kilobit per second digital era. So we thought that, can we build a exchange? Maybe not a big exchange. We build a PABX, private exchange. So in the campus. So we don't have any idea of how to build it, but we just based on certain IC diagram from data book. So from MyTel, we use the chip. We look at the whole circuit and try to what do you call that? Reverse engineer and build our own switching system. The question is, during that time, when we do this thing, we feel that there's a lot of big gaps. First, we don't have any industrial experience in any product development. It was a very early days in a very small research group. So we don't have any industrial experience about what exactly the whole component of building and a PABX required. We didn't realize that the PABX is so extensive with very big secretary, and the manpower needs to be developed is so huge. So it cannot be done by a very small team of people. So the scale of the project is very huge. So we see that at that time, if you remember, there is NEC, there is Ericsson Exchange, and then there is, during that time, there is also the Korean. They also build their own switching system. Now today we have seen that Korea have their own switching system in-house. It's the same time, it's about around 1980 something. Malaysia is trying, there's no one in Malaysia is trying to build their own switching system, and we are trying to do that. And at the same time in Korea, they have started to do their building their own switching system, and now they have theirs, but still Malaysia, we don't have our own switching system. So it was a very ambitious project. We didn't realize that how a prototype with a very small circuit can be built into a real switching system that's going to be commercial. Yeah. And building a product in the universities, actually you require a good teamwork together. You need research group. You cannot work in silos. So you need people with different background, different expertise to come together in building something. So you have a team of researchers, then you have a team of students building the prototype, for example. So from one single component, what happened is that we build from telephone, and then we build from the exchange side. So we connect these two together. Yeah. And then after that, we feel that I left the universities and entered the corporate world, which is Celcom. This is my telco journey. So in Celcom, we feel that there must be a way for us to do build our own product. I was in the R&D organizations, and we feel that can we build something for the organization? And one of the things that since we don't have enough manpower, we want to create a community of developers. And we feel that you see that there's a lot of applications being built by the developer outside, the third party. They use SMS, MMS, during that particular time. But they have difficulty on selling their solutions, or even integrating their system into the back end of the telco, for example, for billing system and all that. So now, what we did is that we have a platform we build with several interfaces to connect to the OSS, to the back-end system, with the SMS, the MMS, and also the billing system, so that the people outside there can create more applications, building more applications. That is one of the big projects that we have been doing. But there are other things that we have been doing in the R&D in the telco. One of the things that telco have these two kind of businesses. Whether we want to target for the B2C business, which is for the consumer, we develop solutions for the consumer, or we want to develop solutions meant for an organization, a big organization, the business side. And during that time, maybe the technology is not like now what we have today, like internet and all that. So we only have SMS, MMS, and GPRS. So it was too early. Don't laugh about this, but that was a very too early stage. During one point, you see the SMS is only within one telco. The moment you have interconnect, then you can have more traffic between inter-telco. So the same thing happens to MMS. If you remember, some of you might remember, MMS is multimedia messaging service. So it's an image or a video that you can send. Nowadays, WhatsApp is overtaking a lot of other things. So GPRS is the highest speed at that time. The talent is insufficient to develop everything in-house. So still, I think talent is very important in building a consistent, continuous product. And solving the questions whether we want to solve these internal problems or we want to solve this for creating new products. So internal problems mean there are issues within the telco. In some of the operational issues, should we able solve the problem within the telco, or we create a new product which is not related to the telco, but we create new products that we can offer this to the user. Okay, that's another journey when I joined Mimos. When I joined Mimos, the focus is meant for doing research. So totally within the 8 years within the organization, I'm very much responsible in building a wireless research cluster. So the research is, there's a research group, there's another group called the development group. The research group looks at more the fundamental part, the protocols, the algorithms being designed within the research group. But the development side will focus more on developing the real product. So I'm more focusing on the research side. So when I'm doing research, the projects being covered is very vast. So trying to look into IPv6, wireless sensor network, WiMAX, 6LoWPAN, IoT, you name it. So the achievement is quite good in terms of research prototypes, and also the number of closures, IP disclosures, and also the number of patents. But the main problem is still we need to turn this pattern, these research prototypes into product. Yeah. So one of the projects that we are quite proud of is when we started off building solutions via through what you call YY. Some of you might remember that it's YY is a wireless hotspot with a WiMAX backhaul. So having a small access point covering certain areas, especially in the kampong areas, and then we connect that with a relay, a mesh, and then from there we have a much bigger vision to connect all these hot zones in mesh area into a metronet. And later we feel that can we incorporate what do you call that IoT sensors and attach it and connect the sensors to extract data from within the vicinity. Yeah. So now we have a gateway that connects to sensors, connect to mesh, Wi-Fi, and then everything is meshed together. So we have coverage all over. That's our vision during that particular time. So so it has been covered quite some in many of these publicity. So this is the Mimos YY that we accessed. So that was in early 2000. Yeah. So it was very early days when WiMAX is still the thing. There's no what we call that. There's no 4G network. It's only YY. It's only WiMAX network. And then from a simple hotspot access point, we feel that we can create product variants. So we started to think about their roadmap of building a relay. We have a wireless hybrid, which have different backhaul connectivity protocol. We want to make that into a point-to-point transmission. We want to put a bridge, we put a gateway, IoT gateway, put a GPS, make it mesh. So it's so many things in our mind just within one particular product. But there's still this thing that we need to learn. A lot of things that we are learning during that period. Okay. So one of the things is that we got to understand that from research to product to commercialization, it takes a very long period of time. It's very costly thing. So the moment you have your product prototype, to turn that into from research into a product, it may cost you 10 times. And maybe from the real product to make it to a commercialization, it might cost you a lot more because you need to do a marketing and all that. Yeah. And then we have created a lot of patents. The question is why the patent is on the shelf, meaning it's not being used and built into a product. We can be proud having patents, generated patents, hundreds or thousands of patents. But if the patent sits on the shelf, it doesn't give you any value. So we need to turn the patent into a real product. Whatever algorithm that you have built, maybe we should embed that with a product per se, so you can see a physical product or something which is can be offered. So the problem is that we have these two teams. We have the research group, we have the development group. The research is being focused, generating so much novelty, and the development team cannot cope up with all the novelty, all the things that you have built into a product. Sometimes they only take one patent and put that into a product. So that you might have another 5 or 10 or 100 patents still on the shelf. So the development cycle takes a longer time to turn that into product. That's why you might have that patents to be on the shelf. So because of the two heads, they might have their own priorities. So they might focus on one work area KPI, and you are being hanged with your another KPI producing research. Okay, so that's why a lot of times you see that research cannot be turned into commercialization because of that factor. There is still a gap of people to turn it into a real product. And when the process is too process oriented, too many gates process, unlike today, if you are an entrepreneur, you are very agile. So you can make decisions very fast. But if you are in a big organization, it becomes a very slow, tedious process to get people signed off and all that for every gate. And then there is this trap of Osborne effect. If you understand Osborne effect, is that Osborne happen is that when they launch a product, a computer, and then before they sell the computer to the market, widely, they have released their second product, or they have informed to the customers that they have the Osborne 2. So when people in the public knows that you have a better computer next upcoming, they will not buy the first computer. So the same thing, when we didn't realize, when we talk about our roadmap to other people, the people will say that, hey, I don't want to purchase your current product, I want to wait for your next product. So when you develop your next product and you inform others that you have another better product, people will still waiting for that product. So that's why, like Apple, they keep their product roadmap very secret, well kept, and you don't know exactly when they will launch it. So people will buy your current product until become matured. And again, I think the big problem is that we cannot gauge the size of the project. It's too big for us to chew. Yeah. So, and sometimes being forced from above, you need to solve the problem. Meaning to say, like, Wi-Fi has its own limitations. So if you want to have a bigger coverage to cover the whole kampong, for example, Wi-Fi might not be the best solution, because Wi-Fi with 2.6 gigahertz, they have this limitation of penetration within the leaves, the trees and all that. So it cannot be the best solution. So you need to have a different technology to cover different coverage area. So then I joined the telco. Again, I'm back to the telco. I feel that enough with the government. Then I return to the telco. The telco have a very fast-moving journey. So Redtone is interested in creating a new business entity. So we created a Redtone IoT, an entity subsidiary to work on smart city. So we have a solutions like this, which meant for the municipal, for the reporting purpose, so they can have the information of complaints, whatever, into a single portal. Yeah. So the lessons learned, what we have is that in Redtone IT, that we quickly launched the product, very fancy launching. Cost of launching can be very high, but you got to understand the customers. If the customers is very slow moving customers, sometimes it takes you longer time for them to get traction. Working in an organization which is also large, you might have problems of working in silos. You might have products by other division. If you don't take the opportunity to cross-sell your product, for example, if you go to one customer, you should be selling with your product and other people's product, other divisions' product. You need to do a bundling. So you must take that bundling opportunity. So a single customer cannot have 2-3 parties approaching them. So one party approach them, but you bundle the product together from different division. For example, like Redtone, they are under Berjaya. So Berjaya have different companies. So we didn't take that. We didn't take the opportunity, or difficult to get that opportunity to leverage other companies. So this is one of the things that we learned. And we got to understand that doing enterprise business, the B2B, takes a longer time. So you have to take a choice as an entrepreneur. You want to focus on B2C, marketing cost can be very high, or B2B, the sales cycle can be very long period. So there's a big challenge between B2B and B2C. So In the part 2 journey, so this is the real startup journey. When I say the real startup, it means that I didn't, the real startup means that it is on my own. With Return IoT is still under entity within a big organization. So a real startup is when you stand on your own, with your own money to build your own story. So the leap of faith started when I was in the Silicon Valley trip. I was there and see that a lot of startups are being, successfully. You can see like Dropbox with a very small cubicle now become a big organizations. You can see Google, you can see Apple. So it's a lot of companies there, makes you excited and feel that you can take the whole world. That's why when I came back, I feel that let's form a startup company. So with our founders, we set up and started our journey by building a solutions to help the elderly people. Using a wearable device, we can help monitor them from remote, the health pattern and their security. So now we have extended our solutions into Faber Sense. We have the Racket, which is the original Faber Health, and then we have Discover, then we have IoT platform. So let me tell you the story of how we changed the pivot during before and after. So before this, when we launched our IoT middleware, we offered this to all organizations because we feel that we cannot build our own solutions. So we need to make this an ecosystem, making that as a horizontal platform. So you come in and create your own solutions. So to build our own solutions take a longer time, but we will work with other parties to create their own solutions, to subscribe to the platform, connect their sensors, create their own IoT solutions. So but then we realized that there is this problem of awareness about the platform. The community is not big. The university are still learning about IoT, so they have not complete their IoT syllabus. So sometimes they are missing certain components. We come in and help them. So like this platform can be used for the universities to use. So now the journey we have grown our IoT developers, not only from Malaysia, 80% of them from Malaysia, but some of them from other countries around the world. Yeah. So now we have more than about 4,000 from 109 countries around the world. So you can join the favorite IT community if you want to. Just scan it off, and then you can join this. So then we have Faber Sense. We started off this Faber Sense, continue our work from Breakthrough IoT. We build a platform that can crowd sense using a mobile app, make reporting, and then create a trouble ticket and solve the problem. And then we have the solutions of Rakib. Rakib is the one that we have extend our solutions for monitoring the senior citizens. And then we extend this for helping the Hajj people. So the Hajj people, they need to have this device, the same device, but now it's able to be used by all people around the world. And this device have the same parameters of health and also security. Then the issue of we have to find a way of how to make sure that it can roam. There's no M2M devices can roam. Now we have to find a telco that can help us for roaming. And then we have to do the trial period. We are here, but we need to test out in Hajj, in over there to ensure that it works fine. So now we also have partners that test the device in other countries. So we have to understand also if people are using this for Hajj, how's their user behavior? Are they using that regularly to test it out? And then the market, the business model, we got to understand how to go to market, how to sell it. And then we also realize that people says that just if you want to track the users, why can't you just use a mobile app? Then we pivot our product, and then we create what we call Discover. So when Discover is just a mobile app that being used the GPS in the mobile app that you can use this for traveling purposes. For example, if you want to travel with a group of tour guide, the tour guide travel in the group, the tour guide will know exactly the location of their tourists. So when you are with the family can move around easily, and you can still track where they are. So there is a dashboard to see the location of all your group members. It's private to you, and then you will know exactly their location, where their path, the history of their traveling, and then from there you will know whenever they enter or exit to a certain geofencing area. Yeah. So this is Discover. So we started off with traveling. That was before COVID. Then when COVID happens, traveling stops. So the problem is, what can we do with that? So we try to offer these solutions for monitoring the COVID-19 patients, but unfortunately, it was not happening. The government didn't take this proposal. Then we have pivot it again after COVID happened. Is that we changed Discover to become a family app. So with the family app, you have like solutions like you have a list, you have posts, you can. It's just like you have a family organizer app. You can share what to-do list, the grocery list. You have planner, what you want to do with your family, your plans, and all that. But again, the places is still there, the location, the one that we have in Discover earlier, and then we have SOS, we have chat, and all that. So we have turned this product for family organizer. Now it's being used by many people. This is a consumer product. Yeah. So as
Dr. Mazlan, can we download the app now?
Yes, you can. So you can scan this, or you can go to the App Store or the Google Play and search for Discover. So I think
It's a free app.
like this. Yeah.
Is it a free app?
Yes, it's a freemium app. So it's free for certain
functions.
Yeah, there are also premium version.
I sorry to interrupt you, but we're going to go to the next Q&A session, if any.
Sure.
All right. So far, I think there is no question. All right. So, like I promised, I would like to go back to Dr. Subha. Okay, Dr. Subha, just now, when Dr. Mazlan shared the challenges, it seems that it is similar to the challenges that we are facing. It would be taking a long time from the prototype to become commercialized. Is there any way that we can speed up the process?
I think merging, collaborating with the business people, like industry, those like, let's say you develop a product in IoT. You think that is very innovative, and you have published some ideas, and people say okay. But the moment you want to bring into commercialization, I think that's where the industry favorite will come in. They have the practical approach to market and commercialization. So by having a collaboration to the industry player, I think we can push our knowledge, our innovation to the industry. So I think Dr. Mazlan will agree with me. Basically, they always come back to faculty, like FIC used to come back and show us the product and ask us to develop. If the development idea is feasible in terms of economic and practical use, I think they can bring it back to the commercialization stage. Dr. Mazlan, what do you think?
Yes, one of the things that I can advise is that doing the product development, you need to understand that there is certain things you can outsource or you can work with a partner. There are certain things that you focus on your novelty. For example, in IoT, you can either novelty in the device, you design your device, but you have to work with platform player like us, or you can have another partner who's on analytics. Or if you are good in analytics, just focus on that. Don't think about building your own hardware, build your own platform. That will speed up a lot of your decision making to test out the market. So later, once you have established that, you can design your own product, but initially work with a partner.
Dr. Mazlan, I think one of the things, back to a question from Suhaimi, is that is there something missing in our development? I mean, whatever the product or whatever the research that we are doing, there are some embedded knowledge that we doesn't have that from the industry. You see, sometimes we develop something to a certain stage, and we think that as an academic, we think that is a commercialized product. We can commercialize or bring it to the market. But when it go to the industry, the industry will push us back. Okay, go and do back again. Some of the things missing. Do you have had that experience? Can you share with us?
Yes, the mistake is always when you don't engage at the early stage of the
Yes.
user requirement, the customer requirements. Sometimes you only pick one or two, but you didn't ask the rest. It's okay if you want to test your assumptions. That's why, like the agile development process, you have this build, measure, and then you iterate. You quickly do that. You build, you measure it, and get the customer feedback. You iterate it back, and develop again. So that's why a lot of times we need to have a minimum viable product. Most of the time we feel that we just build a very complete product and then we test it out. That's what happened when previously in my previous company. They say that after 1 year or 2 years, then we test out to the market. Don't show to the customer yet. That's a big problem. So the moment you have completed and then you want to show to the customer, is already 2 years down the road and the customer's requirement have changed. So like us, when we build Discover, within 3 months, we already have the product out to test out to the market. So we listen to the customer, we change and reiterate back.
But actually, let's say in that manner, if let's say I'm academic, still I'm an academic, I'm pursuing a final year project or industrial training or some kind of development projects with some little grant and all that. I think what are the missing components that you can suggest to us? I mean, one thing you just mentioned is actually our usability study. I mean, requirement analysis, all that. Beside that, how do we start? I mean, you should have some like now you are on favorites. You already have the fundamentals. So you want to develop on top of the platform that you created. Your platform is very robust and stable. So on top of it, you want to develop something is there. But for us, we are actually with the we don't have the platform, and then we don't have the niche understanding. Is this? I mean, we are missing some of the knowledge that we cannot say that this is workable or not. And then when
Yeah,
it come to the, let's say when it come to like you go for e-science grant, like a Dana grant kind of a presentation, or even you go to our own parent company, Telecom, they would simply reject. Okay, there is no feasibility on that. The failure rate of our research is, I mean, in terms of commercialization, our failure rate is very high still compared to the you guys in the commercial environment. Can you give a notes on that?
yeah, when we develop our platform, it's still the same thing like in the research lab. It's a very, very raw platform at the early stage. It took us about 1 year to, more than 1 year to make it stable and to ensure that it can offer this to the customers. But I think my suggestion in the university is that if you want to build in-house, yes, the first few years maybe it's not stable yet, but please continue the project based on the current platform. Most of the time when you have another project, you create a separate project altogether, not utilizing the previous platform. And that's where the issue is. You are trying to build again and you start off from zero. Next year, you start off from zero again.
Yeah.
So you should be leveraging from the existing platform, make it more stable, more modules, more features to be incorporated to the existing platform. So plan clearly what are the platform that you're going to build that going to be used for commercial. Don't change it every time.
I'm scared to interrupt two experts when they're talking. Well, okay. One of the important, just I want to touch a little bit on the financial part. Uh, to Dr. Mazlan lah. At the moment, we heard there are certain government help, okay, and also grants or fund. So for students, let's say after they graduated, they want to, other than the universities, okay, what can the industry, help in terms of expedite their ideas to become a product? Or is there any help from the government or the industry?
Yeah, I think like any entrepreneur, to start off, you need to have that, the one that you have to bootstrap lah. There's nothing that you can do. You cannot start a project without any bootstrapping. You need to have some saving first if you don't have anything. But at least you start off with your own money to show that you are committed. And then you can approach like organizations like Magic, for example. Or any accelerator, but Magic is the best one lah. Magic will help you in terms of to start off your projects, giving you ideas. and from there you can pitch your ideas, get members. You can even get maybe other members, like you want to find another CTO. If you want to become the CEO, you have the business, but you want to find the CTO, then business matching and all that will happen. So I think that will not cost you. I'm not sure whether there is cost, but there is certain training that you need to undergo through lah. But Magic is one of the places that you can go.
Dr. Mazlan, I have a personal question. This one is about your company. So one of the key things just now I highlighted is one of the key problem with new entrepreneurs is getting the team set up. Okay, the work team. I mean, it's partners, all the key people in the small setup. What is your experience when you hire people? What are the criteria that you think that young entrepreneurs must look into? Because most of the time when the young entrepreneurs come in, they look for their peer group. Either they are skillful or not skillful, because they are friends, they become a partner. But over the time, the challenges of setting up, running a entrepreneurship in the long run, actually the friendship become fragile and all kind of things, problems. One of the workers walk away and key people walk away, and you may face a lot of problem. Can you give us some insight on how we should hire people, and what is the basis that you use in setting up your company?
Earlier part of my organization, when we set up Favorite, my team is very senior people who have been working in previously with me, and they have already experience of many years. So actually not all have that mindset or the commitment to become an entrepreneur or work in a smaller company. You are very familiar with all the perks in a very big organization,
right.
And suddenly you become a small organization, then a CEO can become like chief everything officer, right? Not chief executive officer. So you do a lot of the things by yourself.
Right.
So
You're
you
right.
need to understand that the lifestyle needs to be changed. But I love the current staff that I have is very young. It's fresh graduate. They don't have baggage. They don't have anything in my mind what cannot be done. It's always can be done. So I love that kind of mentality. So senior people might have all this baggage. There's so many experience that they thought that everything cannot be done. But if you have young engineers, they don't have anything. So they feel that it's challenging environment. So we need to have a challenging environment, ensure that they are clear vision what they want to build and how actually their contribution to the company, and what then they will. You need to show them what have they built, something which is something new that can transform the human life, can transform the business. They need to feel be part of the organization. It's not coming to the office and go back just like any office people. So it's a slightly different organization. You have to be part of the whole organization and believe in what you do, and you have to be proud of what you build.
I think a strong leadership is a very important key when you mention like that. That you should be able to absorb their problem at the same time keep the fire on all the time.
Yes, that's the third part of my journey that I didn't able to explain about the marketing and the branding part. So now I think Alhamdulillah with the thing that we have been doing so far, and when people talk about IoT, they remember Favorite as one of the organizations in Malaysia.
Yes, of course.
All right, panels. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but our time is almost over. So it is interesting to know from Dr. Mazlan. He said that you never to be too old to become an entrepreneur. So maybe when I'm retired, I can still be an entrepreneur. All right. So I think we are nearing the end for the Q&A session. Okay. I would like to see my gratitude to both our panels, Dr. Mazlan and Dr. Subha, for joining us for this quite a heat discussion also. Actually, there are a lot of things to discuss. Anyway, probably we can have another topic or session in the future. And I would also suggest that we can look to other webinar series that we have from our MMU Live. Okay, so there are a lot of interesting topic for the audience. Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Mazlan, Dr. Subha, for your
Thank you.
interesting thoughts and opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think that's all for today. Thank you, guys. Thank you to the audience. We will see you in the next series.